What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we have Donald Trump's shocking impact on India, a geopolitical case study. Definitely excited to dive into this and see what the impact on India will be. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is smash that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive right in.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Trump reclaiming the White House.
The winner of the 2024 presidential election.
Hey, look what happened.
Donald Trump officially wins the race for president.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the greatest capitalist in the history.
Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States.
Hi everybody. 4 years after being impeached for his role in a violent attack on Congress, 5 months after being convicted for a felony in New York, and just 3 months after surviving an assassination attempt, Donald Trump is now back at the White House as the President of the United States of America. And let me tell you that while this is big news for America, it is about to shake the markets of India. Now that Donald Trump is in power, he is about to again reverse the policies that Biden reversed in his tenure after Trump's tenure. And if you've seen Think School's case studies,
it's crazy just when presidents come in. Especially when you got Democrats versus Republicans. I'm coming in and reverse your policies. All right, well, I'm coming in next to reverse your policies. I'm coming in to reverse your policies, and policies continuously getting reversed. It's wild.
you would know that America is so crucial for the world that they say that if America sneezes, the entire world catches cold. And to understand the impact of Donald Trump on India, we are referring to this Philip Capital report which talks about how Donald Trump will impact everything in India, from H-1B visas to the Indian IT industry, to defense, to pharma, to auto, to solar, and to even the geopolitical war between Russia and Ukraine. So in this episode today, let's do a fast-track overview on how will Trump's policies affect India, which sectors of India will be positively affected, which sectors of India will be negatively affected, and most importantly, how will it change the position of India in the geopolitics of the 21st century.
I'm intrigued though. Before we even dive in, comment in the comment section. What do you guys think about the results? Do you guys think the right person won? I have an opinion, but I don't give my political views because I don't like arguing with people, and so I'm gonna just keep my opinion to myself. But if you guys feel the same way, feel free to keep it to yourself. But if you don't, then drop it in the comment section. How do you guys feel about the results of the 2024 election in the United States? Let's dive in.
But before we move on, I want to quickly thank the partners of today's episode, which is Build School. People, today, AI isn't just a tool for the tech savvy, it's reshaping industries, influencing public opinion. The first step towards building your own AI success story. Firstly, let's talk about geopolitics, because Trump is very, very radical about Russia, China, and India.
We're going to have a great relationship, but it's got to be a fair relationship. China was taking advantage of the country. I actually looked at some deals. I'd say nobody could be so stupid to sign a deal that's so one-sided.
Let's start with Russia. Donald Trump has repeatedly promised to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He says he will broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, and he would demilitarize Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories.
If I was president, there would not have been a war with Russia in Ukraine. Zero chance. I would have a peace deal negotiated within 24 hours. Your strength would have never happened.
So guess what? If this happens, India will face less pressure from the West, and by chance, if Trump lifts the sanctions on Russia, then Russian oil will enter the world economy, oil prices will go down, wheat prices will go down due to Russia being the biggest supplier of wheat in the world, and several other Russian commodities will bring down the prices due to the increase in supply in the world economy. And this will help us curb inflation in India. And just like Russia, Trump's view on China is also very, very clear. Donald Trump absolutely hates China. And this hit is about to reignite one of the biggest trade wars in world history, which is the US-China trade war.
The president-elect has promised to slap 60% tariffs on all Chinese imported goods.
China's
60?
leaders will likely be bracing for a ratcheting up of the trade war with the US under a second Trump administration.
As it turns out, Donald Trump plans to slap a massive 60% tariff on Chinese imports. On top of that, Trump also wants to snatch China's golden trading status called the most favored nation. And here's where there is a big opportunity for India. Let me explain how. For those who don't know, MFN or most favored nation is a status in trading, which means all countries in the MFN list will get the same treatment when it comes to trade. For example, if China and India both have MFN status with the United States, if the US lowers the tariffs on Chinese steel by 20%, it must also lower the tariffs on Indian steel by 20% to keep it fair. But if a country loses its MFN status, US can and will increase taxes on Chinese goods without increasing it on Indian goods. And this means India has three massive advantages. Number one, India can tap into this huge gap to increase its exports to the US. Secondly, the US-China trade war and China's exclusion from the MFN status will accelerate the relocation of manufacturing plants, assembly lines, and supply chains all the way from China to India. And this will help us create jobs in India. And lastly, India will be able to leverage this newfound status to forge deeper economic and diplomatic ties with the Western powers. So our influence.
So far, he going over the pros that the impact of Donald Trump will have on India, and the pros sound good for India. You feel me? More jobs for India, and kind of you erasing that relationship with China when it comes to the trade war. 60% tariffs, and then try to take their MFN status. So that does leave that gap for India to come in and fill that gap, and to move manufacturing over to India, create more jobs for India, create stronger bonds and relationships between India and the United States. That's definitely big time. And then ending the war between Russia and Ukraine like that. You got to end it like that. Just at the snap of a finger. That's interesting. So in doing that, coming up with a peace treaty between the two nations, which I definitely hope there's a peace treaty between the two nations. I believe war, there's a lot of valuable lives lost, and I don't like war. I understand war, but I don't like war at all. So if they can come up with a peace treaty, I think that'd be incredible. And then as well, he's talking about in doing that would release Russian oil to the market, which would make the oil prices go down, which would make the price of wheat go down, which is a good thing. It sounds like prices going down is always a good thing. So okay, so far the pros are proing. Everything sounds good. Let's keep rolling. What else we got?
Influence in the world trade will increase. Secondly, the impact that Trump will have on the IT industry of India will be very significant. According to this Business Standard article, Indian IT service industry exports 54% of their output to the United States. And now, due to Trump, they could face some serious challenges because of Trump's anti-immigration stance.
I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. Today our cities are flooded with illegal aliens. Americans are being squeezed out of the labor force and their jobs are taken. And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing.
Long story short, Trump wants to make it very difficult for foreign students and professionals to get visas to study and work in the US.
Dang.
And the reason is pretty simple. He wants to give those jobs to the US citizens. So all companies like TCS, Wipro and Infosys, they might have to take a hit because they'll have to hire talent in the US and not send Indians. And that will make it very costly for them. And it's not something that is happening for the first time. This has happened before as well. Look at this. In 2016, the denial rate for H-1B visa was just 10%. But after Trump took office, by 2018, it peaked to 24%. So with Trump back in office, we might see more rejections for the H-1B visas. And this means three things for India. Number one, less opportunity for Indians in the US unless they're super talented. Number two, great opportunity for India because more Indian engineers will stay back in India. And lastly, if you're an incompetent engineer in India, then life will be very tough because India will have better engineers. If this is very, very clear to you, let's move on to the next sector, which is pharmaceuticals.
Dang. So IT sector, wanting to return those jobs back to the American people, it will be costly for those companies for sure. But, I mean, the bright side for India is that, like he said, more IT guys will stay in India and less competent engineers won't have a place in India anymore because the standard for engineers will go up because they won't be immigrating over to the U.S. They're going to be staying put, which actually works out because they get to help the Indian economy and help. Talk to me in the comment section how y'all feel about that one. It seems, I mean, to be honest, we're 8 minutes in, and so far it just seems like everything's on the up and up. Like, this decision in the U.S. works out greatly for India. So, y'all, we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it going, see what else we got.
People, the United States is super duper important for the Indian pharma industry because US literally accounts for 31% of Indian pharma exports. And now, Trump has something that could impact our companies. Trump's stance on pharma is that he wants to reduce the prices of drugs in America. And did you know that Americans are charged twice as compared to other countries for the exact same drug? In fact, patients in the US are forced to spend 5 times more on a common breast cancer medication than patients in other countries. This is
I've always thought, I mean, the price, I mean, everybody around the world knows it for the longest time. America's healthcare is absolutely ridiculous when it comes to affordability for people. So lowering the cost of healthcare of these drugs, these life-saving drugs, are absolutely vital.
Primarily said to happen due to lobbying, whereby companies come together to purposefully increase the price together so that all companies can increase their margins. And this is causing a big pain for American patients. But now, Trump wants to change this. In fact, in his last tenure, Trump capped insulin costs for many senior citizens at just $35 a month. Now, you might think, how is this going to impact the Indian pharma industry? Well, as it turns out, Indian companies primarily survived in the US due to the high cost of the American companies, because of which they could sell generic drugs at low cost. But now, if all companies have to reduce their price, then Indian pharma companies will see their margins reduce. The next sector that will take a hit is the automobile sector. To tell you about it, US is India's biggest market for automobile.
That may be a hit, but that's got to happen here in the US. Like, drug prices have to go down. Like,
the automobile sector. To tell you about it, US is India's biggest market for auto components, and it made up 27% of our exports in FY24. But as it turns out, Donald Trump supports fossil fuels and he is not pro EVs.
On day one, I will terminate Crooked Joe's ridiculous electric vehicle mandate. If you want to drive down to the store to buy clothing, or if you want to do something locally, it's fun. But these cars don't go very far.
Now, I know this is quite surprising because Elon Musk himself endorsed Trump. But nonetheless, Trump is expected to cut subsidies on EVs for both customers and manufacturers. And this will again slow down EV sales in the US that could have a short-term impact on Indian auto component players who export their components to US. One example is Sona BLW, which has an 80% order book dependent on EVs. Secondly, because of Trump's America First policy, he wants to stop manufacturing components in countries like China and Mexico, and he wants to bring back manufacturing into the United States. And this might again hamper our auto export industry. Thirdly, Trump has promised to boost infrastructure spending for transportation. And if this happens, we could see a jump in demand for these Class 8 trucks. And here's where companies like Bharat Forge and RK Forging will benefit, because they provide key parts for heavy-duty trucks to America. At the same time, if the administration follows through on massive infrastructure projects, the demand for steel could surge, which will again benefit Indian companies that export steel to the United States. So in short, for auto, while Trump's strong stance against climate change in EVs may initially hurt our EV component suppliers, his trade war with China could really open new doors in the hybrid, heavy truck segments and even IC engine market for India. If this is very clear to you, let's come to the solar industry of India. Now, like I already said, Trump can now increase the import tariffs up to 60% or even higher on Chinese goods. And this means Indian components will soon become cheaper in the US market. And this will again benefit companies like Vari Energies, whose 67% revenue is coming from the United States itself. We've made a complete case study on Vari Energies and you must check it out from the link in the description. Moving on, there is one more impact that Trump will have on the Indian market, and that are higher loan rates in India. But the question is, how is that possible? Well, that is because analysts say that if Trump suddenly imposes tariffs on imported goods in the US, it would cause inflation in the US. And to counter this inflation, the Feds might increase their interest rates. And when the Feds in the US increase their interest rates, it means even RBI might not be able to lower its interest rates in India.
I mean, when you think about loans, bro, the interest rates are already high. The interest rates are to go higher is going to suck. I mean, I'm not one that usually takes loans, but I guess, I mean, car and house, you're doing a loan from the bank and basically just repaying the bank. And if those interest rates go up, it ain't gonna be pretty. Very interesting points made in this video.
Then RBI will also start charging higher interest rates to HDFC-like banks, who will then charge more interest rates to customers like you and me. And if the interest rates go up, the loans will get more expensive and the Indian economy will slow down due to less consumption. And again, we've made a detailed case study on these repo rates and their impact on the Indian economy, and you can find the video from the link in the description. So in summary, H-1B visas will get tougher to get, Russia will benefit, oil prices may come down if Russian oil is back in the market, steel companies will benefit due to infra growth, solar companies will benefit due to US-China trade war, auto component exporters will benefit due to infrastructure growth in the US, EV component companies may suffer a setback due to Trump being anti-EV. Indian exporters who can compete with Chinese prices will benefit due to the US-China trade war. Indian pharma companies may see their margins decrease. And lastly, if inflation happens in the US, which leads to interest hikes, it might result into more interest rates here in India, which will eventually increase our loan rates. Eventually, our consumption in the economy will slow down. This is how Trump might affect India in the near future, and I'm attaching the complete report of Phillip Capital in the description so that you can read through all other details that I haven't covered in this episode. And I just hope you learned something valuable from this case study. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.
Definitely praying that inflation doesn't go up. But for the most part, I'd love to hear what you guys think on this video, what you guys think about his impact on India. I feel like for the most part on this video, it seemed like a lot of positive. If you ask me, just watching from this perspective, it does seem like a lot of positive. There are some negatives in there, but from this video alone, if you were to ask me after watching this, it seemed like the positives would outweigh the negatives. Could be completely wrong, but love to hear what you guys think and hear your opinion in the comment section. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next one. I'll see y'all next time.